सर्वेभ्यः व्योम-संस्कृत-पाठशालायाः लघुसिद्धान्तकौमुदी प्रक्रमस्य नवमे वाग्वर्धिनी वर्गे सर्वेषां स्वागतम्। येनाक्षरसमाम्नायमधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः। वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयं। नत्वा सरस्वतीं देवीं शुद्धां गुण्यां करोम्यहं पाणिनीयप्रवेशाय लघुसिद्धान्तकौमुदीम्। ये अष्टाध्यायीं वक्तुमिच्छन्ति ते हस्तमुन्नयन्तु। मृत्युंजय जोशी।
नमस्ते मैम, श्रूयते वा? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
First 20 sutras, please. Till Adyantavade.
Okay. वृद्धिरादैच अदेन गुणः एको गुण वृद्धि न धातु लोप अर्ध धातु के ङिति च दीधि वे वीटाम हलोनंतरा संयोगः मुखनासिका वचनोनुनासिकः तुल्यास्य प्रयत्नं सवर्णं नाझलौ ईदुदे द्विवचनं प्रगृह्यम् अदसोमात् चे निपात एकाजन ओ संबुद्धौ शाकल्यस्येतावनार्षे उञः ईदूतौ च सप्तम्यर्थे दाधा घोदाप आद्यन्तवदेकस्मिन्।
सम्यक्, धन्यवादः।
धन्यवाद।
प्रतिभा भगिनी।
नमस्ते महोदय।
आद्यन्तवदेकस्मिन् इत्यारभ्य।
आद्यन्तवदेकस्मिन् तरप्तमपौघः बहुगणवतुडति संख्या श्नान्ताषट् दति च तप्तवतु निष्ठा सर्वादीनि सर्वनामानि विभाषादिक् समासे बहुव्रीहौ न बहुव्रीहौ तृतीया समासे विभाद्वन्द्वे च विभाषाजसि प्रथमचरमतयाल्पाधकतिपयनेमाश्च पूर्वपरावरदक्षिणोत्तरापराधराणि व्यवस्थायामसंज्ञायां स्वमज्ञातिधनाख्यायाम् अन्तरं बहिर्योगोपसंव्यानयोः स्वरादि निपातमव्ययं तद्धितश्चा सर्वविभक्तिः कृन्मे जन्तः त्वातोऽसून्कसुनः अव्ययी भावश्च।
सम्यक्, उत्तमम्। कुमार शंकर महोदय।
नमस्ते भगिनी, श्रूयते वा?
श्रूयते।
अव्ययी भावश्च श्री सर्वनामस्थानं सुडनपुंसकस्य नवेति विभाषा इज्ञणः सम्प्रसारणम् आद्यन्तौ तकितौ मिदचोन्त्यात् परः ये च इघ्रस्वादेशे षष्ठी योगः स्थानेऽन्तरतमः षष्ठी स्थाने योगः स्थानेऽन्तरतमः उरण्रपरः अलोन्त्यस्य इच्च आदे परस्य अनेकाल्शित् सर्वस्य स्थानिवदादेशो नल् विदौ अच परस्मिन् पूर्वविदौ न पदान्तद्विर्वचनवरे यलोपस्वरस्वसवर्णानुस्वार दीर्घजश्चर्विदिषु द्विर्वचनेति अदर्शनं लोपः प्रत्ययस्य लुक्ष्लुलुपः प्रत्ययलोपे प्रत्ययलक्षणम्।
धन्यवादः। रमा शंकर।
नमस्ते भगिनी। From that प्रत्ययलोपे प्रत्ययलक्षणं नलुमताङ्गस्य अचोन्त्यादिति अलोन्त्यात् पूर्व उपधः तस्मिन्निति निर्दिष्टे पूर्वस्य तस्मादित्युत्तरस्य स्वं रूपं शब्दस्य शब्दसंज्ञा अणुदित्सवर्णस्य च प्रत्ययः तपरस्तत्कालस्य आदिरन्त्येन सहेता येन विधिस्तदन्तस्य वृत्तिर्यस्य चामादिस्तद्वृद्धम् त्यदादीनि च एङ् प्राचां देशे प्रथमः पादः।
वृद्धिराद्यन्तवदव्ययी भावः कृतं चिन्ता नास्ति। प्रत्ययस्य लुक् 15 उत्तमम्। अग्रे गच्छामः। लघुकौमुदी Can you please unmute yourself? V pranprabh@gmail.
श्रूयते वा?
श्रूयते।
मम नाम भाग्यलक्ष्मी।
भाग्यलक्ष्मी पठतु।
पतिः समास एव घिसंज्ञः पत्यापत्ये पत्युः पत्युः पत्यौ शेषं हरिवत् समासे तु भूपतये। कतिशब्दो नित्यं बहुवचनान्तः बहुगणवतुडति संख्या डति च डत्यन्ता संख्या षट्संज्ञा स्यात् षड्भ्यो लुक् जश्शसोः। प्रत्ययस्य लुक्श्लूलुपः लुक्श्लूलुप् शब्दैः कृतं प्रत्ययादर्शनं क्रमात् तत्तत्संज्ञं स्यात्। प्रत्ययलोपे प्रत्ययलक्षणं प्रत्यये लुप्ते तदाश्रितं कार्यं स्यात् इति जसि चेति गुणे प्राप्ते।
धन्यवादः। हेमा श्रीधर।
महोदय, न लुमताङ्गस्य लुमता शब्देन लुप्ते तन्निमित्तम् अङ्गकार्यं न स्यात्। कति कति कतिभिः कतिभ्यः कतिभ्यः कतीनां कतिषु युष्मदस्मत् षट्संज्ञकास्त्रीषु स्वरूपाः। त्रिशब्दो नित्यं बहुवचनान्तः त्रयः त्रीन् त्रिभिः त्रिभ्यः त्रिभ्यः त्रयस्त्रयः। त्रिशब्दस्य त्रयादेशः स्यादामी त्रयाणां त्रिषु गौणत्वेऽपि प्रियत्रयाणाम्। त्यदादीनामः येषाम् अकारः विभक्तौ द्विपर्यन्तानाम् एव इष्टिः द्वौ द्वौ द्वाभ्यां 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 द्वयोः द्वयोः।
सम्यक्, धन्यवादः। So in the last week we have completed the last few portions of chapter 3, with which we have also completed the Ikaranta Pullinga portion in the Laghu Kaumudi. So let me quickly summarize before I take the questions. So earlier we had seen two Ikaranta Shabdas, Hari and Sakhi. Asmin saptahe Pati Shabdah Drishtah. Pati does not have any new karya at all. So it is partially like Hari and partially like Sakhi. Right? So the key difference comes because it does not have Ghisamya when it is a standalone Shabda. Patis samasa eva iti sutrena samase eva ghisamya bhavati iti uktatvat kevalasya pati shabdasya ghisamya nasti, and therefore the three karyas which are dependent on ghisamya, angonastriyam, gherngiti and achaghehe, do not operate. So what happens when they do not operate is what happened in Sakhi also. Right? In the rest of the cases, whatever was the special things which were told for Sakhi, like Anangsau and Sakyura Sambuddhau, are not happening for Pati. So Pati will be like Hari. Right? So if you look at it in Jasicha iti gunaha. So Pati as, pate as, patayas, patayah. Sambuddhau api hrasvasya gunaha ityanena gunaha. Atra harivad bhavati. तृतीयायाः आरभ्य एकवचनप्रत्यये इको एणचि इत्यनेन यणादेशः यणादेशे कृते पत्यस् इति स्थिते ख्यत्यात् परस्य इत्यनेन प्रत्यय अकारस्य उकारादेशः पत्युस् इति भवति पत्युः औ प्रत्यये परे औत् इति सूत्रेण प्रत्ययस्य उकारादेशः so the anga remains unchanged so pati E becomes pati au, then we have iko enachi to give patyau. So in these 5 cases, pati behaves like sakhi. In the rest, actually the entire rest is like hari, of which there are only 2 special sutras. The rest are all common. So in pati we have prathamayoh purva savarnaha. In patim we have ami purvaha. In patin we have Prathamayo Purva Savarnaha followed by Tasmat Chasonah Pumsi. Patyoho has Ikoenachi. Patinam ityatra Rasvanadyaponut iti nudagamaha. Nami iti dirghaha. Patishu ityatra Adesha Pratyayoho ityanena Shatvam. They are all very common karyas by now. So the special things for Hari which also apply for Prati are these 2. Right? Then we saw a shabda called Kati. So Kati iti nityam bahuvachanantah shabdah. It has only plural forms because we are asking a question how many, which means we don't yet have a understanding of whether it is 1 or 2. Right? If we know it is 1 or 2, you cannot ask Kati. So in general, we use a plural number for it. Okay. So there are forms only in Bahuvachana, of which the special thing comes only in Jas and Shas, where because of the Sutra Shadbhyo Luk, the Jas and Shas Pratyaya are deleted. So Prakriya Drishtya tad ekameva karyam ekatraiva visheshaha. But in the background of this, we saw 2 things. One was the samgyas called Sankhya Samya and Shat Samya. Right? So Sankhya Samya is given by Bahugana Vatudati Sankhya. And immediately after that we have Shnanta Shat and Daticha. So a Sankhya Vachaka Shabda which is either Shakaranta or Nakaranta gets Shat Samya. The Dati Pratyayanta, that is the Kati Shabda, also gets a Shat Samya. Right? So Sankhya is actually a bigger Samya and the Shat is a subset of Sankhya. So among the Sankhyas, if there is a Shakaranta or a Nakaranta Sankhya, it is called Shat. Right? Now, since it has Shat Samya, there is the look of Jas and Shas. So that was one thing, which was the Samyas leading to this. Then we also saw the concept of Pratyaya Lope, Pratyaya Lakshanam and Nalumatangasya. So very, very important, crucial concepts for Vyakarana, very important to understand. So the first, the general idea is Pratyaya Lope, Pratyaya Lakshanam. Even when we delete a Pratyaya, you can still further perform operations assuming the Pratyaya is there. Right? So it is only Adarshanam. It is just invisible, but it is not that it has completely gone away. So even though you don't see the Pratyaya physically, once it is deleted, you can assume that the Pratyaya is still there and go on operating. That is the general case. However, there are some special cases where Panini doesn't give a general lopa, but he uses 3 specific terms to indicate lopa. They are called look, shlu and lup. Even among these, look is very common. Lup and shlu are very, very rarely used, but they are there. They have their own purpose. So why not only one of these? So shlu has its own purpose and lup has its own purpose, whereas luk is another kind of lopa. So there are three special terms that Panini uses to indicate the lopa of a pratyaya. What happens is when we delete a pratyaya using one of these special terms, lumata lupte, na lumata angasya. So lumata lupte, luman is these three together are called lumat. So when we are using any one of these terms to make a pratyaya invisible, you cannot do an angakarya anymore based on the deleted pratyaya. Right? It's a very special nishedha. Lumata lupte pratyaya nimittam angakaryam nasyat. The pratyaya is still there for other purposes, which is not an angakarya, but for angakarya. So if you want to modify this anga based on the pratyaya, you cannot do it anymore once the pratyaya has been deleted by luk, shlu or lup. That is the, all those three are general concepts. So in this context, once we delete the jas, you cannot apply jasicha is the idea. That is why these concepts were introduced. So kati remains as kati. It does not become kate. Right? So then we saw two more shabdas, tri and dvi. Now tri shabda is again nitya bahuvachananta because it means three, which is by nature plural. In tri, the only special thing is in am. The rest is all like hari shabda. It is an ikaranta shabda, normal shabda. There is nothing special. So jasicha iti gunaha ayadeshaha bhavati. Shasi purva savarna dirghaha natvam bhavati. Everything else is the same. Only in shashti bahuvachana, tri is replaced by traya. Tri shabdasya traya iti adeshaha bhavati am pratyaye pare. Once you have traya, it is hrasva and you get hrasva nadhyaponut and nami. So you get trayana as the form. In this context, we also saw a samasa called priyatri. Priyaha trayaha yasya saha. So when we do a bahuvrihi samasa, that shabda will have all three vachanas and it will be like hari, except again in shashti the priyatrayanam. So even in a samasa, whether it is the principal part of a samasa or a subsidiary component of a samasa, mukhyatve gaunatve va trayadeshaha bhavati. So priyatrayanam iti rupam bhavati. Everything else is same to hari shabda. Then we saw dvi shabda. Dvi is a sarvanama shabda which is included in the sarvadigana. Tyad tad yad etad idam adas eka dvi yushmad asmad bhavatu kim. So even within the sarvadigana, it is a part of an inner group called tyadadi. Because it is in the tyadadigana, in vibhakti, that is when followed by any vibhakti pratyaya. Remember, the samgya vibhakti was given to supratyayas and ting pratyayas. And there are some more in tadhitas, that is different. But whenever followed by a vibhakti pratyaya, the tyadadigana words get akara as the antadesha. So the ending letter is replaced by a. So what effectively happens is, in all the forms, dvi is replaced, the ikara of dvi is replaced by a. So it becomes dva by tyadadina maha. Once it becomes dva, it is exactly like ubha. Actually, there is no sarvanama karya in dvivachana, as we also see in the case of, saw in the case of ubha shabda. So it is just dva au dvau ityatra vridhihi bhavati. Dvabhyam ityatra supicha ityanena dirghaha bhavati. Dvabhyam. And dva os, osicha ityanena etvam bhavati tatah ayadeshah bhavati. So you get dvayos, then dvayoh, dvayoh. Okay. So with that, we have completed the ikaranta pullinga shabdas. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask. Sankhya Samnya was introduced, but that was not used for Kati plus Jas Prakriya, I think, right? Yeah, it was not directly used for the Prakriya. So Sankhya Samnya is used in Shat Samnya, and then the Shat Samnya is used for Shatbhyo Luk. Some Shabdas do not have Sambodhana forms. Is it by some sutra? No, there is no sutra which says there shouldn't be a Sambodhana form, but it is a general convention usage where Sambodhana is not used, mainly for the Tyadadis. There is generally no Sambodhana. Tyad, tad, yad, etad, idam, adas, ekadvi. And similarly, the Sankhya Vachaka Shabdas, the other Sankhyas also, usually they do not have the Sambodhana, which is purely conventional. There is no sutra which says that there shouldn't be a Sambodhana form. Asambuddhi does not apply to Sambodhana dual and plural. Yes, please remember Ekavachanam Sambuddhihi. Sambuddhi is a samnya which is restricted to Ekavachana of Sambodhana Prathama. Dvivachane bahuvachane va sambuddhi samjna naiva bhavati. Ataha asambuddhau iti nishedhopi na bhavati. So there is a question. There are multiple questions on the order of sutras. See, ikoyanachi and khyatiyat parasya. We use ikoyanachi first and khyatiyat parasya later. But in ikoyanachi and out, we use out first and then ikoyanachi. Is this correct? Whenever there is a question about the order in which the sutras are to be applied, there are multiple sutras or multiple rules which we need to take care, right? So there are different things will apply in different contexts, right? So one of the niyama, of course, is that varnat angam baliyah. If there is a varna karya, right, varna karya which is only dependent on letters, which is basically all sandhis, and a anga karya, the anga karya will take precedence and the varna karya will happen later, right? So that is one of the things we use when we are trying to decide whether to do a sandhi or do an anga karya. Like for example in pati and e, should I do at that stage, you will not even get eco energy, you will get akasavarane dirgha. But should you do that or should you do out? Obviously, the answer is out. It is an anga karya, it is the parasutra, it is the vishesha sutra. So there is everything. Whereas when we come to khyatiyat parasya, that is why the sutrartha says kritayanadeshabhyam, khiki shabdabhyam, titi shabdabhyam. So you cannot apply khyatiyat parasya before yan, even though it is a parasutra. If you directly compare ikoenachi and khyatiyat parasya, ikoenachi is before, it is 77, whereas khyatiyat parasya is 109, 110, somewhere there. So it is the parasutra, but the sutra clearly states khyatya kritayanadeshabhyam, khikhi shabdabhyam, titi shabdabhyam. So unless you do a yanadesha, there is no possibility of applying khyatiyat parasya, right? So it is not, please remember, deciding which one to apply is not a blanket decision. At every stage, wherever you face the question, you will have to take a call depending on that particular concept. So again, there is one more question. For example, in kati, can I do that jasicha before deleting the pratyaya? is a question. Can I do first Jasicha, do the guna, and then I do Shadbhyo Luk to delete the pratyaya? Right? So in such a cases, right, where Jasicha is also an Angakarya and Shadbhyo Luk is also an Angakarya. So there, and if it is a case of say Vipratishedha, assuming they both have different examples where they can operate. So there we get into the series of para, nitya, antaranga, apavadanam, uttarottaram, baliyaha. So when there is a conflict between sutras, so there are the ways of determining the this one is the para. Directly, if one of the sutras is a para sutra, we can pick a para sutra. But even stronger than Parasutra is a concept called Nitya Sutra. Right? So what do we mean by a Nitya Sutra is Krita Akrita Prasangi Shastram Nityam. So you have A and you have B. Sutra Dvayam Asti. Okay. So if you do A first and then do B, and if you reverse it, do B first and then A, right? So if both things are possible, that is, you can do B after A or you can do B before A, but the reverse is not true. That is, A, B is okay, but once you do B, A cannot apply. If this is the context, we say that B is a Nitya Sutra. Krita Akrita Prasangi. Anyasmin Sutre Krite api pravartate. Akrite api pravartate. Tadrisham Sutram Nitya Sutram bhavati. Idanim pashyamah chet atra Jasicha iti gunaha asti. Shadbhyo luk ityanena luk asti. So let's assume A is Jasicha and B is Shadbhyo luk. Right? Even if you do the guna, it is still the Shat Samya is there and you can do Shadbhyo luk. And if you have not done the A also, directly also you can do B. Right? So B is Krita Akrita Prasangi. But if you Jasicha, you can do first. Okay, but if you have already applied Shadbhyo luk, Jasicha will no longer apply because it is prevented by na lumatangasya. So Jasicha cannot operate after B, but Shadbhyo luk can operate. It doesn't matter what you have there, right? So Shadbhyo luk in this context is also a Nitya Sutra. Right? So in such a case, the Nitya Sutra will take precedence. So you can, sometimes you decide if para is enough, you decide based on para sutra. Otherwise, in this context, because the lopa is Nitya, you have to apply Nitya Sutra, and once you apply the luk, you can no longer do the jas. So it is just a introduction. We will keep applying this. So conflict resolution is one of the most fascinating aspects of Ashtadhyayi. As and when we get more and more into Prakriya, we can learn more about these. Is Pati Shabda's Dati Pratyaya different from Kati Shabda's Dati Pratyaya? Yes, yes. Pati is an Unadi Pratyayanta Shabda. Right? So where we have the Pa Dhatu, to which you are adding a Dati, a Unadi Pratyaya to give Pati. Whereas the Kati is a Tadhita Pratyaya. Unadis, even when you accept that Unadis are derived, are Krit Pratyayas, they are derived from Dhatus. Whereas Kati is the Dati in Kati is a Tadhita Pratyaya, which is added to a Subanta Kim Shabda. Right? So they are totally different. And the Dati cha in Bahugana, Vatu, Dati, etc., it applies only to the Tadhita. Right? It is clarified in the commentaries. पतिसमासे एव इत्यत्र एव इति किं पतिसमासे इत्येव नियमे कृतेपि इष्टं फलं लभेत. Yes, in some of the cases of Niyama Sutras, Panini uses eva. He doesn't use in some cases. It is possible that even without it, you can derive the Niyama. Okay, Vijaya Bhagini. प्रश्नः अस्ति वा?
आं भगिनि अत्र प्रत्ययलोपे प्रत्ययलक्षणम् इति अस्ति खलु तत्र महोदये प्रत्ययलुप्ते तदाश्रितं कार्यं स्यात् इति अधः तत्र ददि योगः सुप्रत्ययमस्ति तत्र ददि हल्ग्याभ्यो दीर्घात् इति अस्ति परन्तु भवत्या उक्तम् अत्र स्वमोर् नपुंसकात् इति तत्र आगच्छति इति
handout मध्ये दोषः आसीत् मया अनन्तरं परिवर्तितम्. It was an error initially when they had prepared. The actual sutra which applies there is Svamor Napumsakat. Okay.
धन्यवादः महोदय.
So a disclaimer here on the handouts. The handout, especially the full handout which is given at the beginning of the chapter, it has some errors, right? It could be typing errors, sometimes more serious errors. What happens is, even though I try to do 3 or 4 rounds of proofreading and this, so till I actually get to that slide to teach, that full focus to catch those minor errors does not come. So despite my efforts, there are some errors which happen. So what I'm trying to do is, after the chapter is complete, I'm trying to revise or correct all the errors and upload it. So if you are using that full chapter handout, please make the corrections. Usually most of those corrections are corrected when the lesson is actually taught. So if you are making notes, please correct it then and there, or try to take a printout later after the chapter is complete. Pratyaya lope pratyaya lakshanam is a vidhi sutra or a paribhasha sutram. It is not a vidhi sutra as such. It is a paribhasha sutra. It generally says wherever the pratyaya is deleted, you can treat it as if it is still there. It doesn't do anything by itself. It just allows you to retain the pratyaya and retain the at least the identity of the pratyaya and do karyas based on it. Okay. अन्ये केऽपि प्रश्नाः? There is a question on explain tres trayah. Any specific doubt on that? It's a fairly simple sutra. Trehe tri shabdasya traya iti adeshah bhavati am pratyaye pare. So when followed by am, tri is replaced by traya. That is all. Agre gacchamaha. Okay. So Vagvardhini pati shabdasya ghisamya niyamah iti prashnah. ये वक्तुमिच्छन्ति हस्तमुन्नयन्तु. Amunda Bhagini is it? It says Venkatesh.
हरे नमः भगिनी श्रूयते वा?
Venkatesh महोदय वदतु.
पति शब्दस्य गीसज्ञनियमः अत्र प्रायशः सर्वैकारां शब्दः की तथा पतिं वर्जयित्वा गीसज्ञकं सूत्रमेव अनुसरति. किन्तु पति तथा सतिशब्दाः ते शेषो सति शेषो घी क्षम्यतां ते सति विशेषसूत्राणि अनुसरन्ति. किन्तु अत्र पतिसमासे एव इत्यनेन तद् समासे यत्र पतिसमासे इति शब्दः अस्ति, उदाहरणार्थं धीपति, भूपति, श्रीपति इत्यनेन तत्र तत्र सखी शब्द नियमान् विहाय प्रायशः केवल हरिशब्दं नियमं सूत्राणि एव अनुसरन्ति। सो अत्र नियमसूत्र अस्ति पतिसमास एव इति। सो अस्मिन् अस्य नियमस्य फलम् अस्ति जसि च तथा जसि च प्रथम सूक्तस्य विभक्तोपरे तु तद् पति एव तत्र अवशिष्यते। तत्र किन्तु जसि च इत्यनेन तत्र केवल जसि च इत्यत्र तत्र पतिः एव विशिष्यते इति प्रायशः।
घिसंज्ञानियमस्य किं फलम्?
घिसंज्ञानियमस्य फलम् अस्ति तत् शेषो घिस्सखि सख्युरसम्बुद्धौ पंचमी तृतीय आंगो स्नास्त्रियाम् इति अस्ति। अंगो अच्छगेः अनेकम् अस्ति। तृतीय चतुर्थी पंचमी सूत्राणि
घेर्निति।
घेर्निति।
एतानि त्रीणि सूत्राणि न प्रवर्तन्ते इत्येव घिसंज्ञा नियमस्य फलम्। जसि च ह्रस्वस्य गुणः इति तु घिसंज्ञाम् आश्रित्य न प्रवर्तते। अतः घिसंज्ञा अस्ति चेदपि नास्ति चेदपि भवत्येव। घिसंज्ञा नियमस्य फलं तु अत्रैव आङो नास्त्रियां घेर्ङिति अच्चघेः इति त्रीणि सूत्राणि पतिशब्दे न प्रवर्तन्ते।
पति तथा भूपति शब्दस्य भेदः अस्ति। पत्याः भूपति शब्दे तृतीया विभक्ति भवति भूपतिना, पति शब्दे पत्याः भवति। चतुर्थी पंचमी मध्ये भूपतेः तत्र भवति पत्युः इति।
पंचमी षष्ठी न तु
पंचमी षष्ठी पत्युः भवति। सप्तम्यां पत्यौ इति भवति।
भूपति शब्दे भूपतौ। चतुर्थी विभक्तौ किं भवति?
भूपतेः हरेः।
तत्तु पंचमी। भूपतये पतिशब्दस्य
पत्ते
पत्ये। सम्यक्।
क्षम्यतां भगिनी, ऑफिस मध्ये अस्मि।
शिशूदन नो प्रॉब्लम, चिंता नास्ति। पतिशब्दस्य घिसंज्ञा प्राप्तिः इकारान्त शब्दः अस्ति इत्यतः शेषोघ्यसखी इत्यनेन घिसंज्ञायां प्राप्तायां पतिसमास एव इति नियमसूत्रम् अस्ति। सिद्धे सति आरभ्यमाणो विधिः नियमाय भवति। किं नियम्यते? घिसंज्ञा नियम्यते। कुत्र नियम्यते? समासे एव नियम्यते। अतः समस्तस्य पतिशब्दस्यैव घिसंज्ञा भवति, केवलस्य न भवति इति फलितार्थः। किं फलम् इति चेत् घिसंज्ञा प्रयुक्तानि कार्याणि त्रीणि कार्याणि आङो नास्त्रियामिति टा प्रत्ययस्य नाभावः, घेर्ङिति इति गुणः, अच्चघेः इति औकारादेश समुच्चितः अङ्गस्य अकारादेशः पतिशब्दस्य न भवन्ति। तेन किं भवति? पञ्चसु रूपेषु समस्तस्य असमस्तस्य पतिशब्दस्य भेदः भवति। तृतीयैकवचने पत्या भूपतिना, चतुर्थ्यैकवचने पत्ये भूपतये, पंचमी षष्ठी एकवचने पत्युः भूपतेः, सप्तम्येकवचने पत्यौ भूपतौ। तत्र भेदः दृश्यते। जयश्री।
नमस्ते भगिनी, श्रूयते वा? ओके। गौणत्वेऽपि प्रियत्रयाणाम्। त्रि इति शब्दः नित्यबहुवचनान्तः। शब्देनैव बहुत्वं बोध्यते इत्यतः नित्यं बहुवचनान्तः। बहुवचनप्रत्ययोऽपि अत्र न अपेक्ष्यते। त्रय त्रीन् त्रिभिः त्रिभ्यः त्रिभ्यः इति हरिशब्दवत् रूपाणि भवन्ति। त्रेस्त्रयः इति सूत्रम्, त्रयादेशविधानं विधिसूत्रम्। आमि सर्वनाम्नः सुट् इत्यस्मात् आमि इत्यनुवर्तते। त्रेः त्रयः आमि। त्रिशब्दस्य त्रयादेशः स्यात् आमि इति सूत्रार्थः। आमि परे त्रिशब्दस्य त्रय इति आदेशः भवति। त्रि आम्, त्रय आम् इति त्रेस्त्रयः इत्यनेन त्रय आदेशः। त्रय न आम्, ह्रस्वनद्योनुट् इत्यनेन नुडागमः। त्रयाणां नामि इत्यनेन अङ्गस्य दीर्घः। त्रयाणाम् इति अट्कुप्वाङ्नुं व्यवायेपि इति नत्वं भवति। त्रयाणाम् इति रूपम्। त्रयादेशः अङ्गकार्यं पदाङ्गाधिकारे तस्य च तदन्तस्य च इति समासे अपि प्रवर्तते। समासे शब्दः द्विधा भवति, मुख्यः प्रधानः, गौणः अप्रधानः च। सामान्यतः तत्पुरुषे द्वन्द्वे च उत्तरपदं प्रधानं भवति। बहुव्रीहौ अव्ययीभावे प्रादितत्पुरुषे च उत्तरपदम् अप्रधानं गौणं भवति। कानिचन कार्याणि प्राधान्ये एव तदन्तस्य भवन्ति, कानिचन कार्याणि गौणत्वे अपि भवन्ति। प्रियत्री इति एकं समस्तपदं, प्रियाः त्रयः यस्य सः इति बहुव्रीहि समासः। प्रियत्रिः, प्रियत्री, प्रियत्रयः इति हरिशब्दवत् रूपाणि भवन्ति। प्रियत्री शब्दस्य आम् प्रत्यये परे त्रेस्त्रयः इत्यनेन त्रियत्यस्य त्रय इत्यादेशः भवति वा न वा इति विषये वैयाकरणानां मध्ये मतभेदः अस्ति। गौणमुख्ययोर्मुख्ये कार्ये सन् प्रत्ययः इति न्यायेन गौणत्वात् त्रि इत्यस्य त्रय इत्यादेशः न भवति। प्रियत्रीणाम् इत्येव रूपम् इति केषाञ्चित् मतम्। गौणत्वे तु नेति केचित् प्रियत्रीणाम् इति उक्तम्। किन्तु सिद्धान्तकौमुदी रीत्या तु गौणे अपि त्रयादेशः भवत्येव। अतः प्रियत्रयाणाम् इत्येव साधुरूपम् इति कौमुदिकारस्य मतम्। वस्तुतस्तु प्रियत्रयाणाम् इति सिद्धान्तकौमुद्याम्।
सम्यक्। लघुसिद्धान्तकौमुदीकारः अपि कौमुदीम् अनुसरन् गौणत्वेऽपि प्रियत्रयाणाम् इति कथयति। उत्तमं, सम्यक् प्रतिपादितम्। अस्तु, प्रत्ययलक्षणं तन्निषेधश्च इति अग्रिमम्। कुमारस्वामी महोदय।
नमस्ते। प्रत्ययलक्षणं तन्निषेधश्च इति प्रत्ययलक्षणविधायकं सूत्रमस्ति। प्रत्ययलोपे प्रत्ययलक्षणम्। इदम् एकं परिभाषासूत्रं। प्रत्ययस्य लोपे कृते अपि प्रत्ययाश्रितं कार्यं भवति इति सूत्रार्थः। अष्टाध्याय्यां लुक्, श्लुः, लुप्, लोपः इति चतुस्रभिः संज्ञाभिः प्रत्ययस्य लोपः विधीयते। कयाचित् संज्ञया प्रत्ययस्य लोपः क्रियते चेदपि निमित्तकं कार्यं प्रक्रियायां भवत्येव इति व्यवहारः। उदाहरणार्थं नदी शब्दं स्वीकुर्मः। प्रथम एकवचनस्य सुप्रत्यये परे नदी सु इति स्थिते हल्न्याभ्यां दीर्घात् सुतिस्य पृक्तं हल्, अत्र नीबान्तः अस्ति।
सूत्रेण सुप्रत्ययस्य लोपः भवति प्रत्ययस्य लोपे अपि अनेन सूत्रेण प्रकृतसूत्रेण प्रत्ययकार्यं भवति अतः सुप्तिगन्तं पदम् इत्यनेन नदी इत्यस्य पदस्य पदसंज्ञा भवति अस्य सूत्रस्य अपवादरूपेण नलुमताङ्गस्य इति सूत्रं प्रवर्तते अस्मिन् सूत्रे प्रत्ययलक्षणं प्रत्ययलोपे च पदद्वयम् अनुवर्तते लुमत् इत्युक्ते लुहु लुक् श्लू लुप् अस्य अस्ति इति लुमत् लुमता शब्देन लुप्ते सति प्रत्ययलक्षणम् अङ्गकार्यं न भवति इति अर्थः अत्र उदाहरणार्थं कति शब्दं स्वीकुर्मः कति शब्दः जस् प्रत्यये परे षड्भ्यो लुक् इति सूत्रेण जस् प्रत्ययस्य लुक् भवति अत्र जस् प्रत्ययः लुका लुप्तः अतः लुप्तप्रत्ययनिमित्तकं जायमानम् अङ्गविशिष्टं गुणकार्यं जसि च इति सूत्रस्य हस्वान्तङ्गस्य गुणकार्यं भवति वा इति प्रश्नः न भवति इति नलुमताङ्गस्य सूत्रस्य आशयः अतः जस् प्रत्यये परे कति इत्येव अन्तिमरूपं प्रत्ययलक्षणेन पदसंज्ञा भवति अङ्गकार्यस्य विषये एव निषेधः इति सूत्रार्थः
सम्यक् बहु उत्तमं सम्यक् प्रतिपादितं
धन्यवादः
अस्तु अग्रे गच्छामः so a small and a quick exercise तत्र पञ्चशाः शब्दाः दीयन्ते शब्दः प्रत्ययः तत्र किं रूपं मुख्यं सूत्रं तत्र किं भवति इति वक्तव्यं सर्वाणि सूत्राणि इति न किन्तु द मेन सूत्र which is required sutra or sutras required for the derivation प्रायः 30 क्षणानि वा किमपि अस्ति तावता कतीनां शक्यते इति सिद्धाः चेत् हस्तम् उन्नयन्तु अस्तु दीपा भगिनी हाँ सिद्धा वा
हरिये तत्र हरये इति भवति सूत्रं सखी नसि नसिन्योः सखी नसि नसि नसोश्च सख्युः कति जस् कति जस् कति इत्येव भवति त्रिभ्यः पत्नी इति पत्युः तत्र
न श्रुतं
पत्नी तत्र इको यणचि
तेन सह
औत्
औत् इत्यनेन औकारादेशः यण् पत्यौ
द्वि ओस् द्वयोः द्वे ओस् तत्र त्यदादीनामः
ततः द्व ओस्
ओसि च इति
ओसि च इति एकारादि द्वे ओस् द्वयोस् सम्यक् उत्तमः प्रयत्नः अग्रे शुभदा भगिनी
नमस्ते भगिनी
हाँ सिद्धा वा
आं भगिनी सखी योगः
अग्रिमम् पति
पति योगः ङे अत्र ङे पति इत्यस्य घीसंज्ञा नास्ति अतः ङे इति अनुबन्धलोपे ए इति अवशिष्यते पति योगः ए अत्र इको यणचि इत्यनेन यणादेशः भवति पत्ये इति अन्तिमं रूपम् हरि योगः ङस् अत्र हरि इति घीसंज्ञकः अस्ति तस्य ङस् इति पञ्चमी एकवचनस्य विवक्षायां क्षम्यतां षष्ठी एकवचनस्य विवक्षायां
सर्वम् अपेक्षितं नास्ति अत्र प्रक्रिया मुख्यं सूत्रं किं भवति अत्र
हरियोगः ङस् अत्र घीसंज्ञकः अस्ति अतः घेर् इति प्रथमं सूत्रं तस्मात् परं ङसि ङसोश्च इत्यनेन पूर्वरूपम् एकादेशः भवति हरेः इति रूपं
तावदेव घेर्ङिति ङसि ङसोश्च हरेः तावदेव उच्यते चेदलम् अग्रिमम्
कति योगः आम् अत्र कति इति पुनः घीसंज्ञकः अस्ति अतः कति योगः आम् अत्र ह्रस्वनद्यापो नुट् इत्यनेन नुडागमः भवति कति न आम् नामि इत्यनेन दीर्घः भवति कतीनाम् इति रूपम् द्वियोगः औ अत्र त्यदादीनामः इत्यनेन द्वि इत्यस्य अन्तिमम् अकारः भवति अतः द्वयोगः औ अतः वृद्धिरेचि इत्यनेन वृद्धिः भूत्वा द्वौ इति रूपम् त्रियोगः जस् अत्र पुनः हरिवत् भवति त्रियोगः जस् जसि च इत्यनेन गुणः भूत्वा त्रे इति भवति त्रे योगः अनुबन्धलोपे अस् इति भवति त्रे योगः अस् एचो यवायावः इत्यनेन त्रय योगः अस् त्रयस् ऋत्वविसर्गौ त्रयः इति अन्तिमं रूपम् सखी योगः अम् अत्र सखी योगः अम् द्विवचनस्य द्वितीया एकवचनस्य विवक्षायाम् अम् इति प्रत्ययः तस्य सख्युरसम्बुद्धौ इत्यनेन णिद्वद्भावः भवति अतः सखी इत्यस्य वृद्धिः भवति सखै इति भवति सखै योगः अम् एचो यवायावः इत्यनेन सखाय योगः अम् वर्णमेलनेन सखायम् इति भवति
सम्यक्
धन्यवादः
क्रिया सम्यक् उक्ता तो अस्य अभ्यासस्य तात्पर्यं can we immediately get to the form and the key sutra तत्र किमस्ति अध्ययनेन अस्माभिः क्रमशः प्रक्रिया अधीयमाना अस्ति किन्तु एकस्मिन् घट्टे तत्र प्राप्तव्यं यत्र सखायम् इत्युक्ते तत्र सख्युरसम्बुद्धौ अचोयिणिति इत्येव अपेक्ष्यते अग्रे अयादेशादिकं तु सामान्यम् एवमेव हरि ङस् इत्यत्र घेर्ङिति ङसि ङसोश्च इत्येव विशेषः ऋत्वं विसर्गः इत्यादि भवति अतः तेन क्रमेण तत्र the essence or the attempt in this exercise it is not a pressure don't take it is fine but what I am trying to build is an ability to immediately focus on the key sutra रूपं किं तत्र मुख्यं सूत्रं किम् द्वि औ इत्युक्ते तत्र झटिति त्यदादीनाम् इति एकमेव सूत्रं मनसि आगच्छेत् यत्तु तत्र विशिष्टमस्ति तत् तत्र तात्पर्यमस्ति so we will try with two more people whoever wants to try let's see how much you get I think Deepa Bhagini got 3 within the time and Shubhada Bhagini got 2 so can somebody get to 4 okay who wants to try yes Varun Mole
श्रूयते वा
सिद्धः
सिद्धो हरि ने हरये भेर्निति एचो यवयावः सखी नसी सख्युः इको यणचि ख्यत्यात् परस्य कति जस् कति षड्भ्यो लुक् इति एव त्रिभ्यः इति एव पति पतिनी पत्यौ औत् द्वयो द्वयो त्यदादीनामः ओसि च
Samyak. Uttamam. Got 5. Very good. That is what I am looking for. Okay. One more. Veena Bhagini. Siddhava.
सिद्धा अस्मि भगिनि पति इको एणचि संज्ञा नास्ति हरि नस् इति घेर्निति इति गुणः नसि नसोश्च इति पूर्वरूपं पररूपं कति अस्व अं वा अत्र बहुवचन नित्य बहुवचनान्त शब्दः अतः रूपं नास्ति द्वि औ इति त्यदादीनामः
बहुवचन प्रत्ययः एव
मोबाइल मध्ये न दृश्यते सम्यक् अध्यापो नोट नामि दीर्घः
कतीनां रूपमपि वक्तव्यं
कतीनाम् इति रूपं द्वि औ इति त्यदादीनामः वृद्धिरेचि त्रि अस् जस् वा इति जस् षड्भ्यो लुक् नास्ति षड्भ्यो लुक् नास्ति त्रि जस् अस् त्रयः जसि च इति गुणः यचो अयवायावः सखी सख्युरसम्बुद्धौ इति निर्बद्भावः सखायम् इति भवति
सम्यक्
यचो अचोयन्ति
उत्तमम् सो अभ्यासः एवमेव तत्र बहुभिः पृच्छ्यते कथम् अभ्यासः करणीयः इति एकं तु यथा गतवर्गे उक्तं लेखनाभ्यासः इति एकं भवति किन्तु लेखने तत्र समयः अपेक्ष्यते अपि च उपविश्य लेखनीयं भवति मोर effective or equally effective उभयं करणीयं क्रमशः पूर्णा प्रक्रिया लेखनीया चेत् लेखनाभ्यासः करणीयः किन्तु एवमेव मौखिकाभ्यासः अपि कर्तुं शक्यते right say what one of the things we used to do is take make a set of cards a small these children they do for playing they have small paper pieces so whatever shabdas you have learned say if you want to practice ikaranta shabdas right so just write the different forms in different bits of paper you can have say 10 bits or 20 bits of paper with different forms like say harim katinam sakhayam etc so you can have a test for yourself you just mix it up pick one and see how quickly you can tell the prakriya right you can time yourself so 5 minutes can you finish that set in 5 minutes 10 minutes right so it's an interesting exercise and it will help you very quickly focus on the key sutra which matters in the shabda right so remember we have just finished the first part but as we go on shabdas will accumulate in a much faster pace right now we haven't done many shabdas apart from the sarvanamas we have only done one rama one vishwapa one haha and 5 or 6 shabdas in ikarantas but as we go on we will cover a lot more shabdas so in such case what will help is you being able to remember the key sutra for the shabda and not the complete prakriya every time that is you need not have to start from svaujas to get there okay so that is the target so you can practice so similarly you can devise some interesting practice things for yourself yes you can use flashcards so flashcards require both you need some technology and some those who are tech savvy can do it but even otherwise with just some bit of pen and paper you can randomly pick one shabda and try to practice the form orally tatra kimapi lekhaniyam nasti and again I repeat you don't have to remember the sutra numbers always Just remembering the sutra is fine. The numbers will come at a later time. Kintu kim sutram iti smartum shaknumaha chet agre yatha yatha agre gacchamaha mahate labhaya bhavati. Okay. इदानीं ज्ञानवर्धिनी अस्ति, ततः पूर्वं परीक्षायाः विषये किञ्चित् वक्तुम् इच्छामि, यतोहि अद्यैव अन्तिमः लैव् वर्गः परीक्षायाः पूर्वं। तृतीयाध्यायः समाप्तः। मार्च् मासस्य 18 दिनाङ्कात् 20 दिनाङ्कपर्यन्तं परीक्षा. So there are two parts. One is for 70 marks. There is the usual computer based multiple choice questions. So 50 questions for 70 marks. There is also a written component for 30 marks. So what that will have is there are 5 questions of 2 marks each. Okay, which means it's like you just have to write 2 or 3 lines about it. There are 2 questions of 5 marks each, which is basically explaining a sutra in detail. Right, so there will be 2 sutras which are given, which you have to explain everything in the same pattern. Pada vibhaga, anuvritti, the sutrartha, the example, the counter examples and everything. And there is one 10-mark question, which is a long question, which is basically for one of the shabdas, you will have to write all the forms and derive all the forms. That's all. No explanation or anything. So for one of the shabdas that we have studied, you have to first write the forms in the tabular column and then derive each of the shabdas. So that is the written component of the exam. So 70 and 30, there is no Maukhika Pariksha in this term. In the next term, we will try to have a Maukhika Pariksha. But for this one, we have only the MCQs and written. Okay. And it will have questions from all the 3 chapters. Okay, so it is not just the 3rd chapter. Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya Adhyayaha etavata yadyad adhitam tat sarvamapi abhyasaniyam bhavati. Okay. So as I said last time also, I repeat, I would recommend it, especially the younger people and students, to take it as a closed book test. That is, do not refer, prepare well and see how much you can remember, because Shastra is both about understanding and remembering, because many of the things you have to keep in mind, but keeping in mind that there are many of you who are, despite an advanced age, following purely out of interest, you can have something for reference if you need to. Okay, so I am leaving it to your conscience what you want from this course. Right, if you want just to say, okay, I understand what it is, but I cannot remember, it is fine. Right? And so it depends on what exactly you are trying to get out of the course. It is okay for me from my side, as long as the answers are fine. So how do you take the exam? So it will be available in our portal under the course materials itself. So I hope all of you have been regularly attempting the weekly tests and the chapter wise tests. This will be similar to that. So if we just a moment, let me open the I really hope everybody in this course at least knows how to navigate the site. So you just log in, click on the Siddhanta Kaumudi course. You will find all the materials of the course on the left hand side. So all the tests for those who have not taken for any reason, you have the chapter 1 test, you have the chapter 2 test, and you also have the chapter 3 test, which will be available from today night. So there is a separate exercise for last week's portion and also the chapter 3. Right? The usual way, there is a one small test purely for chapter 3 and a descriptive exercise, which is only for your practice. So below this, you will have the term 1 exam. right? So that is where you have to find your question paper. The test will be open from Friday, which is 18th March, morning 6 a.m. IST till Sunday 20th March 10 p.m. IST, right? So it will be available for 3 full days, or at least almost full. Friday, Saturday and Sunday. You can take it up at whatever time is convenient to you. Right? So what happens is the descriptive question paper will be given separately. So download the descriptive question paper first. You can either write your answers or type the answers, and keep the PDF file ready. It is the same thing as earlier. So if you write, take a photo. Please take photo with the pages in the correct order. The photo should be clear. Pathitum shakyam syat, right? So it should not be shaken, etc. And have one PDF file ready, right? So once you have the PDF file ready, you can open the MCQ section, and there will be an option to upload the PDF at the end of it. Once you answer all the MCQ questions, you can just upload the PDF and close it, right? So there will be only one attempt for the actual MCQ exam. So please be careful. I would recommend you to use a desktop or a laptop or a computer rather than a mobile, because it's much easier to see the questions with a bigger screen, right? So if you are very comfortable, it's okay. So if you are doing, please make sure your computer is plugged in and your mobile is charged. If you stop in between the test, you will not be able to continue it, because it's an exam. Only one attempt is allowed. You have to complete the test, submit it, and then close it. Okay, so you have had enough practice, so I hope it should be much smoother, but this is the procedure. Do we have to write sutras for 10 marks question? Yes. Prakriya is sutras. You have to write the sutras, but no need to explain the sutrartha. Do we have to write all the simple sutras like Natva, Anubandha Lopa, etc.? Yes. For this one, you have to write all the sutras, right? Because it's the first time we are checking the Prakriya writing. So you have to write all the sutras which are required. So the question paper will be up by 18th and we have to submit by 20th. Is that right? Correct. So you will get both the MCQ and the descriptive. The question paper will be available from 18th morning 6. You can complete and submit it by the end of 20th, 10 o'clock. Should the descriptive questions be uploaded before the MCQs? No, after. That is, you answer all the MCQs and the end there is one question where it will say upload the descriptive paper. You just upload it. Both should be completed by March 20th. Correct. You have to write the descriptive and then only answer the MCQs. Please remember, you cannot take the MCQs first, because when submitting the MCQs, you have to upload the paper of your descriptive paper. So please keep those answers ready before you start with the MCQ paper. The time frame, there is no specific time set. I mean descriptive, because you will be writing at your own pace. The recommended time is 1.5 hours. Okay, maximum. Try to finish it before it. There is not much to write actually, not many long questions. For the MCQs, I think 2 hours is the time. If we haven't yet, I haven't set it yet. 2, or maybe I'll give it as 3. That's it. Okay. That is the total time is that is you. The MCQs will have 2 or 2.5 hours time limit. You have to submit before that. But for the descriptive, you can take between 1 and 1.5 hours. It will not take more than that, honestly. Prakriya forms how we have learnt in class or in a different way. I don't know what different way you are aware of, but what is expected is what has been taught. Will there be a cutoff to move on to the next level? No, not at all. So don't worry. So this is just one stage where we stop, see what we have learned, consolidate and move ahead. So there is no consequence of the test. So don't worry. It will only be documented for your final certificate. Must I finish both together within 3 hours of sharing? Starting? No. See, you will have the descriptive paper. You can take whatever time you want for it. That is, you can download it and write it whenever you need to. So that will be, the exam will be open for 3 days, right? You can write whenever you have time, you download the descriptive paper and write it. For the MCQs, once you finish the descriptive paper is done, when you start the MCQs, that only you have to submit within 3 hours. That's all. Okay. I think there's just one more question which I'll answer. Can you explain the difference between praptihi, prasaktihi, pravrittihi? Praptihi and prasaktihi are similar. So there is the possibility of applying something in some context is called prapti or prasakti. Yatra kasyachit sutrasya sambhavana asti kintu na bhavati prayena. So there is usually something which will prevent it from applying. Whereas pravritti is the sutra actually applying. Sutrasya pravrittihi bhavati. Right? So we will move ahead. I wanted to finish this exam thing before the next one. Okay, so MCQ section. It is only for the MCQ. There's a single sitting with 3 hours. Only one attempt. So please do not refresh back button, close. Once you open the paper, please don't close it because that will be treated as an attempt. All right. So those are standard instructions, but just that so that we cannot deal with individual cases that easily. It becomes a problem. Right? So if you are more careful, it's easier for us also. Also, one more update about the course calendar, right? So which I had done earlier. So just to see where we are. So this is the first term. So there has been a slight delay, which was actually deliberate. Yada maya adau chintitam tada, I had thought 9 weeks of continuous uploads, that is 3 weeks per chapter. So I thought I will not give a break in between. But when we started, I realized that a lot of people, it helps to have 1 week break between the chapters, right? So rather than doing it continuously. And I realize, I mean, most of you are pursuing this despite many other responsibilities at home and at work. So we have slightly extended it. So each chapter is for 3 weeks of uploads and then a week of break for new uploads. And then the next chapter will continue, right? So we have done 3 chapters and we have an exam. The other terms will proceed on similar terms, right? So there are 3 chapters in each term and each chapter will run for 3 weeks, right? So 4 videos per, so 12 videos per chapter. So 3 weeks and then we will take 1 week break and then proceed. Right? So tentatively, this is the calendar for the remaining terms. It is just so that if you want to plan, this is what is going on. So after second term, we will do 3 chapters and 1 more pada of the Ashtadhyayi, and then there will be another exam. So 4 term exams in the this one. So the next term we will be starting on 25th March, right? Once you complete the exam on 20th, that Friday, the Friday after the exam, we will be posting the new videos for chapter 4. Okay, so we will move on with Jnanavardhini. I thought I had more time today, but still तत्र पत्ये पतये वस्तुतः अस्य विषये प्रश्नाः भवेयुः इति मम निरीक्षा आसीत्, किन्तु केनापि न पृष्टम्। यतोहि सीतायाः पतये नमः इति बहु प्रसिद्धमस्ति, कथम् इति भवतु तत्र तदस्ति। ततः पूर्वं भवद्भिः सह एकं संविभक्तुम् इच्छामि। गतसप्ताहे अस्माभिः हरिशब्दस्य बहवः अर्थाः दृष्टाः, कथं भिन्नेषु अर्थेषु प्रयोगाः सन्ति इति। तत्र काचित् अस्माकं सहपाठिनी भिन्नेषु ग्रन्थेषु कुत्र कुत्र हरिशब्दस्य नानार्थप्रयोगाः इति संगृह्य प्रेषितवती। तेन सह तया एव द्वित्राः श्लोकाः अपि विरचिताः सन्ति हरिशब्दस्य भिन्नार्थेषु प्रयोगं सन्दर्शयितुं। बहु उत्तमाः श्लोकाः सन्ति वस्तुतः। Amazing shlokas, very beautifully written, and I was very happy. I wanted to share it with all of you because they're extremely well written, and you know, very honestly, one of the things that I look forward to as a teacher is such a response where the students are so enthusiastic and you know, participate so much. So atra hiranyakshasya haraye haraye harirupine namaste lokanathaaya medinnyuddharakarine iti shlokah. तत्र पश्यन्ति चेत् हरये, हिरण्याक्षस्य हरये, अत्र हरिः इति यमः इत्यर्थे। यः हिरण्याक्षं मारितवान्, हिरण्याक्षस्य कृते यमरूपः कः? हरिरूपिणे। अत्र हरिः इत्यस्य वराहः इत्यपि अर्थः अस्ति। अतः वराहरूपेण हिरण्याक्षं यः संहृतवान् तादृशाय हरये विष्णवे नमस्ते लोकनाथाय मेदिन्युद्धारकारिणे। मेदिनीं भूमिं यः उद्धृतवान्, हिरण्याक्षः भूमिं समुद्रे निमज्जितवान्, ततः वराहरूपं धृत्वा विष्णुना हिरण्याक्षः मारितः, भूमेः उद्धारः कृतः इति पुराणकथा। बहु सरलः श्लोकः अनुष्टुभिः, किन्तु अत्यन्तं रमणीयतया हरिशब्दस्य त्रयः अर्थाः अत्र प्रदर्शिताः सन्ति। अन्योपि श्लोकः अस्ति। हरिप्रवीरो हरिवंशकेतोः कुर्वन् प्रियं राघवनन्दिनीं तां ददर्श सीतां कमलायताक्षीं तां भूमिजां मैथिलवंशभूषाम्। हरिप्रवीरः, हरिः नाम वानराः, वानराणां प्रवीरः वानरपुङ्गवः हनुमान् हरिवंशकेतोः प्रियं कुर्वन्। हरिवंशकेतुः, हरिः इत्यस्य सूर्यः इत्यर्थः अस्ति, अतः हरिवंशः नाम सूर्यवंशः, सूर्यवंशस्य केतुः ललामभूतः श्रीरामः। हनुमान् श्रीरामस्य प्रियं कुर्वन् तां राघवनन्दिनीं सीतां ददर्श। तत्र अन्यानि पदानि सीतायाः विशेषणानि। कमलायताक्षीं भूमिजां मैथिलवंशभूषाम्। अत्र हरि शब्दस्य वानरार्थे एवं सूर्यार्थे प्रयोगः दृश्यते। अन्योपि श्लोकः अस्ति। स्यन्दने हरिसपत्नलक्षणे इंदिरां हरिसहोदरो हरिः चन्द्रगौरहरियुग्मभूषिते रोहयद्धरिमुखीं नु रुक्मिणीम्। कृष्णस्य विषये श्लोकः। हरिः विष्णुः अथवा कृष्णः। कीदृशः सः? हरिसहोदरः। विष्णोः इन्द्रानुजः अथवा उपेन्द्रः इत्यपि नामान्तरम् अस्ति। अदितिः, वामनावतारे अदितेः गर्भाद् उत्पन्नः हरिः, अतः उपेन्द्रः इन्द्रानुजः इत्युच्यते। अतः हरिसहोदरः। अत्र हरिशब्दस्य इन्द्रः इत्यर्थः। उपेन्द्रः अथवा इन्द्रस्य सहोदरः कृष्णः स्यन्दने हरिसपत्नलक्षणे। हरिसपत्नलक्षण, हरेः सपत्नः, सपत्नः नाम हरिः शत्रुः इत्यर्थः। सपत्नारि रिपौ वैरी सपत्नारि इत्यादि कोशे अस्ति। अतः हरिः, कस्य हरिः? हरेः। अत्र हरिशब्दस्य अहिः अथवा नागः इत्यर्थः। नागारिः नाम गरुडः, गरुडलाञ्छनः विष्णुः, विष्णोः रथे गरुडस्य चिह्नं भवति। अतः हरिसपत्नलक्षणे स्यन्दने, गरुडलाञ्छने रथे कृष्णः इन्दिराम्, इन्दिरां रुक्मिणीम्, इन्दिरा लक्ष्मीः, लक्ष्म्याः एव स्वरूपं भवति रुक्मिणी, तां पुनः स्यन्दनस्य अन्यद् विशेषणमस्ति चन्द्रगौरहरियुग्मभूषिते। चन्द्रवत् गौरं, चन्द्रगौरं, so as white as the moon. किं हरियुग्मं, हर्योः नाम अश्वयोः युगलम्. So the Syandana was tied with 2 horses which were white, pure white horses. Hariyugma bhushite. So Chandragaura Hariyugma bhushite Harisapatna lakshane Syandane. Atra Harishabdasya Ashvaha ityarthaha. So Tadrishe Rathe Krishnaha Rukminim Arohayat. Rukminyaha Apaharana Samaye Tam Tatra Rathe Nyaveshya नीतवान् इति. पुनः हरिमुखीम्, अत्र हरिशब्दस्य चन्द्रमुखी, सूर्यार्थः अपि अस्ति, चन्द्रार्थः अपि अस्ति. अतः चन्द्रमुखीं रुक्मिणीम् आरोप्य सः नीतवान्. श्लोकः. This is absolutely brilliant and the verses are by Sai Navya Bhagini. I think you should all remember. Okay, she did that Vakyartha in the first class also. Sing sa Balika asti. Actually, she is very young and astiva adya asti. Bhagini, किं वयः भवत्याः?
तत्र अधुना 13 वर्षाः, तत्र 13 वर्षाः.
God, मम तु इदानीम् इतोपि किं वक्तव्यमिति न ज्ञायते. महती महान् संस्कारः निश्चयेन पूर्वजन्मः. बहु उत्तमः श्लोकः भगिनी. I can't express how happy I was to look at it. It's with perfect chandas, with perfect grammar and kavitva. Kavitvam tu स्वाभाविकमेव भवेत्. Very honestly, I have never composed a shloka so far in my life. तत् न ज्ञायते इति न, किन्तु तत्र कवित्वं तु नास्ति. बहु सम्यक् रचितमस्ति. भूरिशः अभिनन्दनानि, आशिषः सर्वेषां पक्षतः. अत्र बहवः सन्ति ज्येष्ठाः, सर्वेषामपि आशीर्भिः संस्कृत सेवा सम्यक् अभिवर्धताम्.
धन्यवादः.
बहु उत्तमम्. Okay, so we will stop here. I wanted to do about the Pati Shabda, but this wanted to share it with everybody. Right? So Pati Shabdasya विषये किञ्चित् वक्तव्यमस्ति. तत्र कथं पतये इत्यत्र, किन्तु अद्य समयः अतीतः. अग्रे कदाचित् कुर्मः. तत्र समयावधिः इति नास्ति. अग्रिम अध्याये प्रथमसप्ताहे यदा मिलामः तदा अस्मिन् विषये वक्ष्यामि. अतः अद्य अनेन स्थगयामः. अहं तस्याः किम् एतदस्ति, I will post it on the course page. Okay, the curriculum with the shlokas which she has written. तत्र अर्थः अपि दत्तः. अन्येभ्यः ग्रन्थेभ्यः अपि तया तत्र उद्धृत्य श्लोकाः दत्ताः सन्ति. अतः अहं तत्र स्टूडेंट कांट्रिब्यूशन इति यत्र अस्ति तत्र स्थापयामि, सर्वेपि पठन्तु। अस्तु, चिन्ता मास्तु, पतिशब्दस्य विषयः परीक्षार्थं तु नापेक्ष्यते एव। It's absolutely not necessary and it's not very small. यदि लघु विचारः आसीत् तर्हि अद्यैव समापयितुं शक्यमासीत्, किन्तु प्रायः 15 वा 20 वा निमेषाः अपेक्ष्यन्ते, तत्र बहवः विचाराः सन्ति। अतः अग्रिमवर्गे वयं कुर्मः, निश्चयेन कुर्मः, चिन्ता मास्तु। Study well for the exams. Shubhashamsanani. Your performance is an indicator of my performance also. So I really hope all of you do very well. Hardani Shubhashamsanani. Milama. येनाक्षरसमाम्नायम् अधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः। वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्। नत्वा सरस्वतीं देवीं शुद्धां गुण्यां करोम्यहं पाणिनीयप्रवेशाय लघुसिद्धान्तकौमुदीम्।